Well, hello, sports fans. This is Athletic Chat 13, brought to you by RunBlogRun, produced by the Shoe Addicts, and it features Stuart Weir in Oxford, England, the intellectual capital of the world. He's in the blue shirt, and I am Larry Eater. I'm in San Jose, California, and thank you, AT&T. I have a new router, and as Stuart said, he knew as soon as the U.S. got into the 20th century, everything would be good. Well, I'm finally in the 20th, maybe even the 21st century. Well, hello, Stuart. How are you today?
I'm very good. Before we get into something, can you tell me, Larry, what happened 36 years ago today, to the day? What great race took place 36 years ago to the day?
This is the 10th. 36 years ago would have been 1984. Is this the day of Seb Coe's Masterful 1500?
No, close. It was the day of, we like to say, of Wendy Sly getting the silver medal. Yes. But there was somebody called Zola Budd and Mary Decker who were in the race as well.
Well, irony of ironies is I was at Runner's World at the time, and we broke this big story about Zola Budd competing for the UK. That was our cover story the month before. I had tickets from my publisher, Bob Anderson. I got to go down. Actually, I had to pay him for them, but he got me tickets because he couldn't get them. And thank you, Bob. And I got to go to my first Olympic Games, and I saw Seb take the silver in the 800. Mm-hmm. The men's 10,000 with Alberto Cova and Mick McLeod got a nice medal, and then I got to see the what else did I get to see? We got to see the men's 1500 too. Came back, but Wendy never got the credit she deserved for that race. And she's a dear friend. I actually have a trading card featuring Wendy from the Brooks shoe days when she came over to the U.S. and won the Gasparilla 15K and the 10K in Miami and a bunch of the big road races. Mm. And no, that was an amazing race too, because the funny thing is Mary Slaney was training with guys, and they ran fast with her, but what they never thought about is having her practice with people competing with her. Mm. And I always thought that Zola Budd, unfortunately, tripped her up. But if Mary had had any racing sense of what it was like to really race in a close race in Europe, and she never really did because she was either at the front or she wasn't in it, it might have been a different story. Mm. Wendy kept her stuff together and did amazingly well. It was the Olympic silver medal is tremendous, but I wish she'd get the street cred, because part of the thing is you got to finish the race, to get an Olympic medal. So, Wendy, we miss you. We hope to see you soon.
Actually, I've done an interview with her, and next week I'll be writing it up for RunBlogRun.
Excellent.
Mary's memories of '84.
Oh, that'll be really
Wendy's
cool.
memories, sorry.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. Now, I've met Mary a few times and had some nice chats with her over the years. I know her husband, Richard, pretty well. He's a character. He used to make a living with a couple sun tanning spas in Eugene. Good guy you'd like to have a beer with. He's been there through thick and thin, so you got to respect him for that. So we've got a myriad of topics today, Stuart.
We have.
Let's start with the London Marathon, my friend.
Well, we now know that the London Marathon is going to take place, but as they used to say on, I think it was Star Trek, not as we know it, Jim.
Yeah.
As we expected, it just wasn't possible to do a street race and to do a mass race. So what they're doing is that they will do elite races for men, women, and wheelchair, but they're going to do them in St. James's Park in London, 20 laps of the park.
Wow.
So again, a totally different experience for the runners to run 20 laps as opposed to an out and back kind of street marathon race.
Sure.
And the interesting thing is that they're doing for all the mass runners who were accepted is they can download the app and run 26 miles on the day between midnight and midnight, and they will be deemed to have completed the marathon and will get their medal.
Good for them. What do you think about that?
I think it's good. I mean, I know a club runner who actually ran 500 times around her yard.
Wow.
On the day of the April race.
Wow.
But in fact, her parents gave her the medal, and she has planned to do it again in October. Only this time she'll run around some of the local streets.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good, and also, of course, anyone who is accepted for 2020 will be carried forward to 2021. But interestingly, one little thing which has caused a problem is that the Olympics in 2021, as we now have to say, the GB marathon trials were going to be the London Marathon next April. But actually, they have decided that the 2021 race will actually now be in October. Not in April, because it gives them, they say, more chance of having a normal race.
Okay.
So, so British Athletics has now got to work out, assuming the Olympics take place, how to do their trials.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Why don't we do a quick little update on the pandemic? How are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, we're doing fine. I mean, personally, I think this week I'm finding the hardest because up until now, I've been sorry I couldn't go places, but there was nowhere to go. But suddenly the Monaco Diamond League is happening this week. I always go to Monaco, and I'm just not going because I don't think it's safe to go.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's... it seems to be a bit more under control, but they're fearful that when schools reopen in September, that could spike. And they're saying that, well, we may have to close some of the pubs and restaurants in order to open the schools because we've got to keep a second spike from happening. Yeah. So it's still there. But some people are saying that it could well be with us for years to come, and even when they have the vaccine, that it could be an annual vaccine.
Yeah. Now, my friends in the medical community are pretty adamant about saying it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
In the U.S., over 55% of Americans apparently are saying that they won't even do the vaccine, which tells you, wow, this is going to be successful. And we have a current presidential leadership that some days gets that there's a real problem and most days does not. And it's been politicized. The whole mask thing is a simple thing of caring for other people. And that's the way I see it. It's not a political thing, but it has been politicized. And I didn't know there was anything in my Constitution that told me that there was a freedom from wearing a mask. It's just there's rules. I mean, you have to get a license to drive a car over here. And you have to have a license to shoot a gun. So what the hell? We're just asking people, but boy. And in California, there's wingnuts here, and in Wisconsin, where I live part-time, there's wingnuts. I mean, their numbers are up 10 times since I left. And it's one party fighting the other party, and people are going to get sick. And that's just not fair. I mean, the nice thing is we've had a few nice track meets over here, but we've got a biggie coming up. You and I love Monaco.
Yes.
But before we talk about that, tell me about the loads of Brits that are running this week.
Well, first of all, there is the Nurmi, I think, meeting in Finland tomorrow, and there are 10 British athletes in that one.
Wow.
And there are 13 British athletes in Monaco. And
Wow.
a lot of them will be competing for the first time.
Wow.
I mean, like with people like Holly Bradshaw, CJ Uja, Richard Kilty, Andy Posey, are going tomorrow night. Jasmine Sawyers, who's now working with Lance Baumann.
Yes. Yep.
And then in Monaco, we've got KJT, Posey again, Laura Whiteman, and Eilish McColgan, both in the 5,000, where, of course, they were both just outside the medals in Doha.
Sure.
We've got Jake Whiteman and Charlie Grice, Adam Jamili, and then an absolutely fascinating 1,000-meter race.
Okay.
Where we have got Gemma Ricci and her training partner, Laura Muir. Dare I say it that way?
Wow.
Shelena Oskin-Clark is in that race. And also a big favorite on RunBlogRun, Raven Rogers.
Oh, nice.
And they're also up against the two Ugandans who surprised us.
Yes.
Nakai and Nyonda, who came first and fourth in the 1500 in Doha, and the reigning Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon is there as well.
Wow!
So it's a loaded race for 1,000 meters, and of course some of them, looking at the start list, don't have a PR because they've never run 1,000 meters before.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, is there a crowd that's going to be allowed in Monaco?
I'm not sure, but certainly it's intriguing that they have got 8 athletes in 8 lanes, whereas other places have been not doing that.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure whether there's the spectators or not. I mean, it's interesting because at the moment, you're just going back to the COVID thing. I read in our newspapers today that Brits are not going to France, which of course Monaco is technically part of France in the legal sense, because last week people went to Spain and the government said, when you come back, you have to quarantine for two weeks.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for all these athletes traveling around. Although, incidentally, I was talking to Nicola McDermott, the South African high jumper, and she said that her government had allowed her to come to Europe, provided she didn't come to Britain. They had told her that she should avoid Britain because the COVID rates are too high.
I thought it was because of the haggis, in Scotland or something, or.
No, I think it's it's the COVID thing. But yeah, I mean, I will be intrigued to see how this event goes and how normal it is. I wonder whether they can do a mixed zone, because the mixed zone is so small in Monaco that I can't see you can do any.
Yeah, you and I both love this meet. It's always one of my favorites. Typically, I come in a week before from like Stockholm. And in the normal order of things, and then hang out. Great pressers there. And then the stadium, they started out with a 1,000-meter race for the local boys and local girls. It's won pretty quick. And then we just ride nonstop for 3 hours. And as it gets cooler in the evening, the distance races come in. And I remember, I think it was 2015. They had that wonderful 800. Then they had a women's 1,500. Then they had the I think that was the year that Tiernish was it Tiernish?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, Debaba, but it was the other sister. Set the world record for the mile. Or the 1,500, which was just ungodly, and and then it's just one race after another.
It is said to be one of the fastest tracks in the world,
and the crowd is great.
Yeah.
And it really does cool down. I mean, the other place that I think is really fun that time of the year is Lausanne, which is always about a week or two before. It's because how the evening cools down so nice. Heck, you think you're up in Sweden, you know? And but I really love the way they manage Monaco and the management of the meet. Great presser. The guy, the MC speaks fluent English and French. He's done French TV for 30 years, was a good runner, a very fine runner. And so he gets it. And it's nice to get, the French kids, Lemaitre, Martinot Lagarde, Bossa. They're all fun characters, and if you don't see that meet, good.
I just going to say, I interviewed Bossa last year, and I said to him, can you put into words what it means to be called the world champion? And he said, I don't call myself the world champion. I call myself the bloke who can drink a pint of beer in 5 seconds.
Well, yeah, he has achieved that, I believe, a few times. Yes. The other meet that I like in France is I like to go to their championships. And when I went in, I wanted to check out La Villeneuve, and then also I wanted to see Bossa, and that was in 2017. And it was the best treatment of media that I've ever seen. Well, actually, the finest meal I've ever seen. But it was France. We had wine and quiche, for dinner, and a great little dessert. And then I had all the guys from L'Equipe sitting behind me. And Nicolas Herbelot told me not to pretend to speak French because I don't understand it. And he was as thoughtful as always. So you got to have a few friends out there, but. Yes, you and I will both be missing Monaco, but it should be fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you get to watch the Nurmi meet on TV?
I'm not sure because I know several people in it, so I'd like to, but it certainly won't be at television. Whether I can get on the internet, I'm not sure.
Do you remember Anne-Marie Corté, the Finnish ruler?
Yeah, I know her.
Do you remember her as a media person?
I do.
Yeah, for years. And our viewers probably won't remember this, but Anne-Maria has written about track and field for years, and it was always a pretty darn good athlete. And I remember getting a note, gosh, this has got to be 4 years ago now. Hey, you know what? I'm going to focus on track because I just don't know what I can do. And my gosh, she's running, she's run 12:72.
She has.
And she's got the national record there.
Yeah.
She's looked fantastic this season. So, Anne-Marie, a tip of the hat, and we hope you're doing well, and we hope to see you perhaps next season. But she's a lot of fun. And
absolutely.
She did a great job when she was doing media stuff, so I was just thinking about that. Let's go on your next on your magic list. Let's see. Okay, so a Monaco preview. You've talked a little bit about that. Any more comments about Monaco?
No, I just looking forward to it. I'm interested to see that Noah Lyles is there.
Yeah, that'll be kind of fun. Yeah.
Is it his brother who's running with him?
His brother ran a PB, 2034 in the race that Noah ran at Josephus, or Josephus. I call him Josephus. Noah ran in 1994, so he's got the world leader now, so we'll have to see.
I don't think he is the person, Larry, who wrote the history of the Jews.
Okay, really? You
Josephus,
don't think so?
not the same Josephus.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, I'll have to correct that in my notes. Thank you. That's yes, that would probably be a different person because he might be quite old now. Joe Coates, I'm posting the third piece up of today. I think they're all really good. The comment that I have been telling the American readers is, you know what? Look what Joe's doing talking to media in the UK. It'd be really nice if someone in the USATF organization would actually...
I mean, that was totally her initiative. That was totally her initiative, just saying, look, if I will be available for half an hour if anyone wants to see. And I haven't actually written this up for you, but there was also a great issue of diversity came up.
Yeah.
And Joe said, well, I don't want to be rude, but if I look at the 12 people who are asking me the question, they all seem to be white, and 10 of the 12 seem to be men. So what's your question about diversity?
True. It's true. No, I mean, it's a huge issue over here in the U.S. There are people who deny that there's even a problem, and I've always was taught that the first thing you have to do is recognize there's a problem, or you can come up with a way to correct it. The season is really beginning now with these Diamond League meets. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually intrigued to see that there are so many British athletes running. But interestingly, that there are not that many Americans in Monaco.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. I mean, I don't blame anyone. I'm not traveling this year, so I don't remotely blame anyone else who says, "Look, I'm not traveling." And Dina Asher-Smith has said, "You know what? I probably won't compete at all this year."
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, she says, look, my health is more important, so I don't think I will. And, we've talked about this for whatever reason. The statistics in Britain show that if you have black skin, you are more likely, significantly more likely to get the virus than if you don't. And again, I mean, I have not spoken to her, but she may be thinking, look, I don't want to put my family at risk by catching it. I may be all right because I'm young and fit, but that isn't always the case. And it's interesting. I was talking to one of our top coaches this week who said what he's saying to athletes is there's nothing that you can do in the next month that will help you to win an Olympic medal, but there are things you can do that will harm your chances.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, look, just keep ticking over. Don't go out and try to break the world record when you haven't run before. Just take it easy and don't fret about not competing as much as you'd like, because if you have a full season next season, that's more important.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Most American athletes can't get to Europe right now because of the EU. Christian Taylor's in Austria, thanks to his fiancée.
Yes.
And I know that Pete Julian and a group of the Nike athletes that he works with are going to be competing in Monaco, Sifan, and a few others.
Yes.
And people are asking how they got over there. I think if at the top of the food chain, I think that they've probably been over there for a while so they can grow accustomed to it. And this is a strange time, and you got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next topic, Olympics 2021, 2022, 2024. Any deep thoughts?
Well, I have heard that it will definitely not be 2022, that if it doesn't happen in 2021, those games will just not take place.
Yeah.
And then we're back on schedule with 2024.
Yeah, I tend to think that's the way we're going to go. I haven't followed up on Guy Drew, the 1976 Olympic gold medalist at the 110s and a big star in France. He questions the ability of the Paris 2024 organization to handle a pandemic, handle security issues, etc. And we'll just have to see. So with what we've just talked about with the London Marathon, when will marathons as we know them come back? What do you think's going on there?
Well, I mean, London is hoping to do a proper London Marathon October 2021, but that's only going to be possible if there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
Because, you've seen the pictures of a mile-long runners waiting to get to the start when they're touching each other. And even when they start, they're running side by side. So, and the crowds are 4 or 5 deep on a lot of the course. So none of that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why London are doing it in a park which would be closed to the public.
Yeah.
So that because it's not safe to have people who are not social distancing. I mean, I think but the same question with the Olympics. Without a vaccine, it's hard to see that the Olympics can take place next year. Without a vaccine, I don't think there'll be any major mass marathons.
Yeah, I do too. One thing I've been reading up on a bit is the challenge of anti-doping during the pandemic, because a lot of countries have cut out their doping. It's amazing to me how many Kenyan athletes have been caught, but that's because the AIU is doing their game well, and I know they put more money into testing in Kenya. But there are some elite athletes who are sounding the clarion that, hey, look, if people are going to cheat, this is the time to cheat. And I don't know what to say about that. The kind thing I can say is that, unfortunately, a small minority of people cheat in everything that we do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's right. It also doesn't mean the majority do that. The majority do not.
Yeah.
Most people actually have standards and have a thing called ethics. And that has, and I remember talking about ethics with someone, and I was attacked, and the person said, don't throw your religion into it. And I said, hold on. You can be a Buddhist, you can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, you can be a Muslim, you can be an atheist, and you can still have ethics. The Jesuit Teilhard de Chardin talked about a humanistic attitude, and I think those are all there. And I do think that taking advantage is, in a sporting sense, is just not the right thing to do. And, what was fascinating to me is after 84, I hung around with a lot of British athletes, and how many Brits were very adamant, and there was the late 80s was a pretty dirty time in the sport, and it's gotten better. It's not where we want it to be, but it is better, and that's the thing we need to recognize. Any media news? Anything going on media-wise? Anything in the UK that's of interest?
Well, it's interesting that we've had the details of the British Championship first weekend in September, but there really is no point in going because it's on live television. There's no mixed zone. There's no access to athletes, but there will be on Zoom. There'll be a Zoom mixed zone.
Oh, nice.
And the flash quotes and the photographs will be available. So I will be covering that from home because there's no point in going to Manchester, however small the risk is, because it's really all been done, and there's no opportunity to have a personal one-to-one with an athlete.
Totally different subject. Do you think the Doha Diamond League meets can actually happen in October?
I think it will, because Doha can make things happen.
Yeah.
How many elite athletes will actually go is the question.
Sure.
Because, people have said to me, well, I really want to be resting and starting winter training end of September, beginning of October. So to do a Diamond League on the 9th of October, unless they're going to throw money at athletes, given that athletes in some cases have struggled to make money this year, that if suddenly Doha, where money doesn't have the same value as it does for the rest of us, if they decide to throw money at athletes, then they will get them.
Yeah.
But equally, it's a difficult time for people who want to be at their best next August for the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't think there's going to be Olympics, and Doha are offering me a lot of money to race, and again, athletes are saying to me, we're worried about our sponsorship contracts because if business is not making as much money as they were last year, can they renew the contracts that are up for renewal? So
that's a big question, because I've been hearing all these contracts up for renewal, but I've also been observing how many running shoes are being sold. And then I'm also observing virtually every company is doing furloughs or cutbacks. And, Nike's about to do one with 500. I know Under Armour is, New Balance, many of these companies. And, it's, I still think we've got about a year in this, and people just have to batten down the hatches and be really careful.
Yeah.
But,
and that being the case, I think you may find that athletes who are struggling and are suddenly offering a couple of months' normal income to go and do one race may find that quite an attractive option.
I think you're right. My friend, you've survived week 13 of the Athletics Chat.
Right.
Thank you again. I can see from your window that it's dark in Oxford, England.
It is.
It's a balmy 34 degrees Celsius in San Jose right now. And I'm going to go in and get a nice cup of something cold with ice cubes in it. And I wish you the best. And I will see you next week.
Unusually, the temperature is about the same here. We're having a heat wave just for a couple of days.
Wow. Well, be careful.
Yep.
And Stuart, thanks again. Stay safe. And
speak next week.
All right. This is Larry Eater with RunBlogRun. We're with Stuart Weir, Oxford, England, Larry Eater, San Jose. And this was Athletic Chat 13. Well, hello, sports fans. It's Larry Eater. I'm in San Jose, California. This is Athletic Chats 13 Epilogue. Not Epilady, Epilogue. So the whole idea with the Athletic Chat is that Stuart Weir, who's in the intellectual capital of the world, Oxford, England, and I, Larry Eater, in San Jose, California. Sometimes I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. Sometimes I'm on another planet, but that's a different story. What we do is we meet once a week, 40 minutes via Zoom. Mike Deering of the Shoe Addicts, managing, presiding, putting it all together. And we try the athletics problems of the week. So this week we talked about the London Marathon. It's going to happen. 19.8 loops around St. James Park. This sounds really exciting, but they're having the event. Kudos to London for doing it. I'd sure like to find a way to get over there and see it, but I'm probably going to be like you guys and watching it on YouTube. 2, loads of Brits running this week. There are 10 athletes at the Nurmi meet tomorrow, and 13 in Monaco later this week. And love Monaco. It is a fantastic meet. The women's 1,000 is going to feature Gemma Reiki, Laura Muir, Raven Rogers. It's going to be, and the 2 amazing Ugandan women who medaled, one gold, 1 took 4th in the 800 meters in Doha. Okay, and then Jo Coates. Jo Coates is the CEO, executive director of British Athletics. She's been there for a few months, and we just did today I posted a 3-part series. She did a presser that she came up with and updated the media in the UK, 12 people, on what's going on in the UK. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I was wondering out loud why we don't see that in the US. Why doesn't Max put together something with 10 or 12 members of the media once every few months and give us updates, because it should be nice to know what USATF's thinking about during the pandemic. And it's a little frustrating. So, not trying to be mean, just a gentle suggestion. And the season's beginning. We have 14 meets going, starting this week and going through the end of October. So we'll have to see. I think most of them will happen. Monaco sounds really exciting. There's 8 people in the 1,000 meters, women's 1,000. It's going to be a fast race. Olympics. Not sure anything's going to happen in 2021. Not sure it's going to happen in 2022. I think we're just going to lose Tokyo. And the next thing we'll see is Paris. Paris will have its hands full, and the IOC is going to have to be pumping some money in, not only for pandemic security, but for traditional security, because the pandemic is showing some weaknesses in global security systems. 2024 will probably be the next Olympics. That's my mind. I don't think 2022 in China is going to happen either. I don't think most people will go. And I think that China begrudgingly is going to have to give up on that one. When will the marathons come back? 2023, 2024. When they have a vaccine, quickly. And in the U.S. right now, they're saying 55% of Americans won't even take the vaccine. So how do people expect the world to come back to normal? It's just not going to happen and go poof, everything's okay. It's just not going to happen. Doping in the pandemic. So people can cheat through anything. I remember the story of Tatiana Kazankina. She was a 1976 gold medalist in the 1500 and 800, and then in 80 she came back and won in the 1500. In about 1985, she went into the bathroom and a balloon full of urine bounced out of her duffel bag and onto the floor, spilling everywhere. She refused to have a test, and after that, they just banned her. Shit happens, and people will do everything. I mean, there's back at Rolling Stone magazine, you used to be able to buy clean urine. So it's still probably a good business. But people are going to cheat. People are going to cheat in everything. I think our testing, I think the AIU is doing really well. I do think WADA has a little too much politics with it, but I think it's the federations that are jerking it around and the IOC that's jerking it around. The IOC wants drugs just to go away, and it's not going to happen. And it's a battle. Media news, well, still can't go anywhere. I've tried to figure out how to get to Europe to see a couple of events, and I have to sit in some hotel for 14 days. And that's a bit of a challenge. I just had my COVID test come back, and I'm tested negative. And I am continuing to be careful, but got to watch this thing. So please, people, stay safe, isolate. Wearing a mask attack your masculinity does not make you less of a Republican or a Democrat. Wearing a mask means you care for other people and you hold some things besides yourself in high esteem, and that is being proud to be an American. In a normal year, 400 Americans, about 440, renounce their U.S. citizenship and go to another country. So far this year, 6,000 have. Is it about COVID? Is it about the current leadership? It's probably about a lot of things. But the majority of people are staying here. And they're proud to be Americans. And as the dear president said, wearing a mask is patriotic. So do it. If you can listen to him when he says whacked out stuff, why not listen to him when he suggests something that could really help people, help your fellow man and your family? So stay safe, isolate, wear a mask. If you're closer than 6 feet, anytime you're inside, wear a mask. Just don't play around. You don't want to get sick. It's not a good thing. And yes, I know people who have gotten sick. Unfortunately, I know people who have died. And I also know people who are trying to recover and feeling like crap. So it's not a hoax. It's not a sacred mystery. You know, COVID-19 has no conscience. It's not a Republican. It's not a Democrat. It just wants to multiply. And by being less than careful, we're allowing it to multiply. So that's the end of the epilogue and deep thoughts from Larry Eder on Athletics Chat 13. This is Larry Eder signing off. Thank you.